Hello, everyone. This is Connor Hebel with Dr. Jeanie May, and today we're going to be going over how to grow your own microgreens. This is such a simple process, and I know Jeannie's been talking to me about how she's just had that resistance of like, I want to grow these microgreens, but there's just something holding me back. So by the end of this video, I hope that you feel that same feeling of relief that it's going to be much easier than you think it is. I like to say you may not have a green thumb, but you have a microgreen thumb. So how are you feeling, Jeanie?
Nervous. Look at this. We're about to open it for the first time.
All right, let's do it. Drum roll. Oh, hey.
Da-da-da-da-da.
So in there, what you can see right now, those little circles, that's the Coco Coir. That's a sterilized grow medium, which is really good for growing your microgreens. And it doesn't smell like much. It's just coconut. The reason why we use Coco Coir is because it's sterilized. That way you don't get eruptions of bugs in your house. If you were using soil, you would have the potential of bugs getting in your house, and we don't want that. And then the next thing you'll see in there are your seeds. And so you have a nice variety of seeds there. Right in the front is mustard. There should be an oriental mustard, broccoli, turnip, and salad mix.
And a bonus broccoli.
Yeah, and a bonus broccoli. And on all of your seeds, there's a QR code that takes you to a video on how to grow microgreens. So if you get confused, you can just go over there. And
oh my gosh, I love that. That's awesome. Okay.
So which of your microgreens do you feel like you want to grow today?
I feel like I should do broccoli because there are two of them, and that way if I mess it up, I got this.
Nice. Yeah, and the great thing about broccoli is it's high in a thing called sulforaphane. And sulforaphane aids in cancer prevention. It causes the cancer cells to do something called autophagize. So it's really great. There's also a lot of health benefits to it too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Okay. The other thing that's in the kit is a little spray bottle, and we'll get to that later. So now what we'll do, you can take the 2 trays that you have in your kit out.
Okay.
So those are your trays. The reason why you have 2 trays there that you can lift up is because that reduces the risk of mold. So that's your top tray. And then the green ones are the bottom tray. So the white tray is what you'll be growing your microgreens on. And so they're really helpful. It's basically just to keep your seeds and soil up on top, and you can lift it up later on and put a cup of water underneath. That way you're not pouring water on top of your microgreens because they're grown so densely.
Okay, so you're putting water down in here.
Exactly, yes. So take one of those green trays and one of those white trays and go ahead and put them together. And you can go ahead and take your soil, that Coco Coir puck. And do you have the water? I asked Jeanie to bring some water over. So the first thing we're gonna do, there should be a little packet with some little square things that was with your thank you card and all of that right there. Yes. So inside you have your germination trackers, which we'll get to in a minute. And there's a little long strip in there. Go ahead and take that out. That is a pH test strip. And what that does is test the pH of your water. So like us, we have our own pH balance in our body. Our plants have a pH balance of what they grow best with. So you have your pH test strip. You go ahead and you dip it into your water for just a few seconds, and then you can go ahead and lift that back up. You don't want to leave it in for too long. That was perfect. And so now we're going to let that change color. You'll be able to see on here that it changes color really easily. And so give it like 30 seconds roughly. And on your instructions, you'll have a little, what is that? Like a chart to be able to see the pH balance. So your pH balance ideally is about a 6.5 to a 7. So you want to keep it kind of in the middle of the pH balance. If you find that your water's too acidic or too alkaline, for alkalinity, you'll add some vinegar. For acidity, you'll add some baking soda. And on your instructions is the amount of baking soda and vinegar to water ratio.
I'm not sure how I'm reading this. So you're only looking at the last one?
I'm looking at all of them. I find that looking at that last one helps me kind of gauge where it is. You are 6. So you're right at that nice pH balance. So if you all want to see, a 6 is right about here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you're reading this down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you just look at the colors, try and align all of them together. So now that we know what the pH balance is, we are now able to hydrate our Coco Coir. There's a couple materials that you'll want that aren't included in your microgreen kit. The first one is your water, because we don't want to ship water. And you want to have a pH balance and water that is not tap water, because tap water can contain some harsh chemicals that is best to avoid for your plant and for you. And then the other thing you'll want is that bulk. And that's going to make getting your soil to expand a lot easier. I highly recommend doing that. And then the last thing you'll want is tinfoil, and we'll go over that at the very end. So now that you have your bowl here, go ahead and unwrap that Coco Coir disc you have. Just go ahead and open that. For those of you who want to follow directions, you can go ahead and read the directions on there, or you can just stick around. The video is going to cover that. And so you'll go ahead and put that Coco Coir disc without anything on it, just in that bowl. And so now you'll pour just a little bit of your water into that. Yep, you'll just see that it starts expanding. And so it'll expand like one of those expandable washcloths. This is my favorite part, is just watching it expand. It'll expand about 8 times the size that it starts out. And it's ideal to have warmer water. If you have cold water, this will not work. So do not get water from your fridge. It will not expand. It'll just stay kind of hard. Water that's room temperature or warm is going to be your best bet.
It's room temperature, but the room's cold. Okay.
So then if you're noticing that it's starting to like really expand, you can go ahead and like kind of pull the soil apart a little, and that'll make it a lot easier if it kind of comes off.
That is still hard as rock.
Okay. Yeah, it might take a minute.
Should I put more water in?
Yeah, you could put a little bit more in. So there are every so often a couple faulty Coco Coir that are compressed too hard, and sometimes they don't expand. If yours happens to be like that, it'll be a lot harder to pull apart. If you've noticed that your Coco Coir isn't expanding, sometimes it could be that you have very cold water, or even sometimes room temperature. It really just kind of varies for each Coco Coir puck. And so you can just go ahead and you can get a knife and safely kind of pull it apart. But hopefully you don't have that. Warm water is the best option. Yeah. It might be that your water is a little cold.
It's pretty cold.
Yeah, that's probably.
Does that mess it up?
You can. I don't recommend microwaving if you have the option, but for just like a quick thing like this, yeah, you can go ahead and microwave it. And it doesn't have to be super hot. So just like a quick microwave.
It's dirty.
Yeah, there you go. So for those of you here, I don't suggest microwaving if you have any other option. However, if you need to do this fast and you want it as simple as possible, microwaving can help speed up that process. You can always boil it on your stove. That way you don't have all the stuff with microwaving that can be not great for us and not great for the plant. And there's always a few other options. Ideally, just keeping your water room temperature if you don't have a super cold place, or boiling it on the stove. Not boiling, but just getting it warm.
Ooh, it's much nicer now.
Oh, nice. Could you show it?
My hands are all goopy, but it's all big.
Oh,
now.
yeah, there it is. Yeah, it must have just been that it was super cold.
It's pretty good.
So that just shows how important having warm water is for this.
Yeah, warm water helps, definitely.
So then what you're doing is you're just going to be kind of pulling it all apart, making it into a soil. It should look like regular potting soil. Yeah, just like that. You might need to add a little more water. I can't fully tell. You don't want it to look like a mud pie. Yeah, okay, so then you'll probably want to pour a little bit more water in there.
I'm getting some of it to trickle off.
Okay, yeah, take as much off as you can, and then you can add a bit more water to make it expand. Or you could go put the rest of the water in the microwave, and that way it stays warm and it'll expand easier.
All right. Watch this. Hey, honey. You go put this water here. Look, you be on the video.
Hi.
You grab this.
You're gonna have some microgreens.
Microgreens.
I know. We're gonna get you healthy.
All right.
No.
What do you want?
Put that in the microwave to make it warm.
Oh, warm it up. Okay, I can do that.
See, that's the way. That's the way to
Yeah. You taught him well.
Delegation.
Yes.
Delegation. There's got little strings in it. What's that about?
That's the coconut husk.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just a fiber. Yeah, and if anyone notices, every so often there'll be like a rock or something random in there. That's not bad. It's been sterilized. You can just kind of like throw that rock outside or in the trash, or you can leave it. It's not anything to be concerned about.
Okay. No rocks so far.
That's awesome. That rocks.
We still got this much
Oh
left.
yeah. Yeah, so adding a bit more water.
This is almost full up here.
Oh yeah. And in fact, you can even use just like half of a puck for a grow tray. It's just that the reason why we have one puck to one seed in the tray is just so that we don't confuse people.
Okay, here we go.
Awesome. Right about that's good. Should start expanding from there. And so if your microgreens start turning the light color brown, like the pucks that you start with, when you're growing your microgreens, that means that it's dry and it'll need more water. And if it's more like a darker brown, that means that your microgreens are at the right water consistency. How's it going there?
Need more water, I guess.
Yeah, it can take quite a bit of water. As long as like the end result, you don't have where you hold the soil and it like there's water dripping off, you're gonna be good. And if you do have that, then go ahead and like squeeze it and you'll squeeze all the water out and then be able to put it across your tray.
All right, it's down in the bottom. Now I can't see that it's still a puck.
That's okay.
But I don't know. So,
Yeah, mystery.
All right.
So I think you'll be fine right now. We can just go ahead and start putting the soil into the tray. You should have enough soil right now. If you take your green and white tray, and what you're gonna do is you take that soil, put it on that white tray, and keep it as evenly as possible.
All right, there's nothing.
Awesome. You got this. And so for those of you listening in, this is where you're going to want to get your soil as even as possible. You don't want to put too much pressure on it, but you do want to keep it where there's not big clumps of soil everywhere. You don't need to be accurate at this point. It's very simple. And I like doing this because it just reminds me of like gardening, getting your hands dirty, and
It's got dirt all over them.
yes. And it does get a bit messy. So that's just something to keep in mind. You're probably going to have a little bit of cleanup.
Doing this at my desk.
Yes.
It may not have been the best idea.
Yeah, but it works.
It works. It's all good.
Yeah.
My first adventure in gardening.
And so then once you feel like you've got it, if you lift it up so that I can make sure that you're doing it right, you're probably perfect. It's a very simple process.
I like your confidence in me.
Mm-hmm. I like to say you may not have a green thumb, but you have a microgreen thumb. It is super simple. I started growing microgreens at 7 years old, so if I could do it at 7, you can do it too.
Okay. So they're still. Oh, it is empty. It's coming off the puck easier.
So basically, the reason why you have this soil is so that your seeds don't fall through the holes. It doesn't have any nutrition. That's just the main reason why you have it.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why there's like no nutrition in it, the seed has the nutrition inside of it. So you can think of like a chicken and an egg. The egg has more nutrition than your chicken does because it has to grow that whole chicken. Same with your seed, it's going to have to grow that whole plant. And that's why your seeds are so concentrated with nutrition. Microgreens have up to 40% more nutritional density than your mature plants. So they're super healthy for you. How's it going?
Going pretty well.
That's awesome.
Last little ones broken up in dirt.
And then another thing, we do carry a thing called jute mat, and it's a mat that's a fiber of a plant. So that way, if you're like not really interested in having something as messy as this, you can carry that. It's a little bit more challenging because it doesn't retain moisture as well as Coco Coir does. So you have to be more on top of watering. That's one of the reasons why we don't put it in the kit. However, if that's something you're interested in, you can always order that from us too.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. That's looking good. That is pretty even. And the one thing I'm noticing, it's a little dry. So you'll want it a little bit darker than that. And we can work on that in a minute because we're going to be using your spray bottle. So you'll just spray a little extra. So now the next step is you're going to get your seeds.
All right.
Awesome. And you're going to open that up. You can either use your seed packet and just kind of like sprinkle it across using your seed packet, or you can put it in your hand and just kind of like go like that. Some people like to kind of do this, and you're going to want to make this as even as you can. There you go. Yeah. Oh,
All right.
let's see. Yeah, there you go. And then if you lift that up. Okay, so right now your seeds are more in the center. What I would suggest, just kind of take your finger and move them over to the corners. You're going to want to have them in the corners and in less clumps. The reason why you don't want clumps is because as your microgreens are growing, they're going to be growing super densely in those areas. And so you'll have a higher chance of mold, and almost every time you have a big clump, you're going to have mold. So having them as evenly spread out as possible is the best option.
Okay. Although some of them like got buried now.
Oh, that's fine. That looks good. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't worry about them being buried. In fact, there are some microgreens where you actually do need to bury them so that the shell comes off. So them being buried is not a challenge at all. We're going to be doing the next thing is spraying your microgreens. So with your blue spray bottle, what we're going to be doing, and you can do this here, or if you want to go to your sink, you can. You're just going to be putting your water in the spray bottle. And it's the same type of water that you pH tested, right? Like from the same source.
Sort of.
Okay. Yeah.
It should have the same pH. It
Yeah.
has some electrolytes in it, but
Okay. Oh, so your microgreens are gonna be even better. Okay.
better tasting water.
Yes, there we go.
My microgreens.
What flavor are they gonna be?
No, it's not flavor. It's just
Oh, it's not. Okay.
like the stuff that Starbucks puts to make the water taste better.
Okay.
So it's like minerals and stuff.
So then this next step, you're just gonna be spraying your microgreens, and you're gonna be doing this for the first 3 days. So go ahead and just spray them all around. And for you, I'm gonna suggest we do a little bit extra spraying. You're gonna wanna spray until your soil turns a darker color. And you'll notice it's already starting to get a little bit darker. You're gonna want it to be kind of more of a dark brown.
It's a workout.
It is, yes. It's like those, what are they? Those little grasp things that you use for like if you're playing guitar so that you get your fingers strengthened.
That's funny, yeah.
I used to grow and sell microgreens, and I would do like these big racks of microgreens. And even those regular spray bottles that you use for cleaning, I would be using those so much that my hands would get so sore.
Oh, I bet.
And I'd be like, not another tray. Oh yeah, it's definitely starting to get darker. You're almost there. So the reason why this stage is so important is because you want to get your microgreens where they're getting water and they're starting to grow, they're starting to germinate. And you don't want to put too much water on where it's like your whole tray's like a mud pie, because then you'll have a higher chance of mold in this stage because we're getting like a dark, humid environment. So there is that risk, but it's not a huge risk if your soil isn't super wet.
And using your magical seeds too.
Exactly, using the magical seeds. All right, so yeah, a little bit more spraying is going to do well because this is still a bit dry.
Really?
Yeah.
There's not the lighting.
It might be the lighting. That is true.
Looks
Just a little bit more spritzing and you'll be good. So this is day 2 of Jurassic Greens, and you can see the soil's a bit darker.
Oh, wow.
And this one I haven't sprayed yet. So it is a big difference in soil.
It looks that dark to me.
Oh, yours looks this dark?
Yeah, let me see if I turn this light off. Now it's really dark. Look
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, I think it was the lighting. Okay, so then you're good with spraying because it does look
dark.
very...
It looks dark. Brown.
Okay, yeah, because yours looks closer to the color of your desk there.
I know. It's weird how on the camera I can see how it looks
So
lighter.
then if yours looks like this, I haven't sprayed mine today, you're just going to put like 4 or 5 sprays, like about that much. And then for me, I have this because it's Jurassic Greens. You just spray this top here.
Oh.
And then put this on your kit like this. And then for me, I've been putting this over it This one comes with a lid. Your Jurassic greens do. Your people microgreens don't at this point. As I move along, there might be a lid that I carry. Right now, we don't have that. So if that's something of interest, let me know in the comments below.
Why do we need a cover?
So this is your germination stage. This is the time that you're telling your seeds, okay, it's time to start growing. So this is like simulating them being under the soil. So you're giving them a cool, dark space. This is where the tinfoil comes in. So now it's time for the tinfoil. If you unfold that, and we're just going to be covering your tray. Oh, that's going to be almost exactly the right side.
What are the chances?
Yeah. So then you just cover that. And before you fully put it over, you're going to lift one of the sides up and spray it underneath the tinfoil to keep it more humid.
Put it on the tinfoil.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and just spray it while it's up there, or you can fold one of the edges over. Perfect.
Okay.
And then you just cover it up.
Okay.
And you're done. The only other thing you can do is take those little square germination trackers next to where the pH test strips were. And what you're going to do is just like write the name of what you have. On there, you'll see there's little boxes. The first one's checked off, so you don't need to do a check there. We have 2 boxes each day because some people like to water their microgreens twice a day, some people 1. If you're in a more humid climate, then once a day is going to be optimal. If you live in a drier place like, say, Nevada or Texas, then it's better to water twice a day, but you can get away with once a day. So, like, you don't have to worry for today, and then tomorrow you'll water once a day, and the next day you'll water once a day. And for the first 3 days, you're going to be using this spray bottle. After that, you're going to take your microgreens out of germination, so take that tinfoil off. Put them near a window, ambient light, and then you're going to be lifting those 2 trays up. So like, for example, with this tray, lift this tray up. Whoop, geez. Put a cup of water in under here and then put that back down. And that's what you do once a day for the
day 3.
Yes, after day 3. So that's super simple. And after day 7, you have microgreen.
Yay.
Yeah.
And you just cut what you need for that day. That's what you do.
I recommend cutting what you need for that day and letting it grow for about the next 14 days. After, it's going to start to change color, get a bit more bitter. When you start to notice that it's changing like that, go ahead and harvest your microgreens and put them in like a Ziploc bag or airtight container, and then put a dry paper towel in there and put it in the fridge, and you'll have another 14 days. And I have some videos talking more about like harvesting your microgreens.
Can you freeze them?
Yes, you can. I have a friend who actually freezes her microgreens and then puts them into her smoothies. That way she has a longer shelf life. So you can definitely freeze them. It's more optimal to eat them fresh. You might have like some of the nutrition and some of the stuff you want in your microgreens may kind of deplete. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing, if you want to keep the nutritional content and all of the benefits, is to dehydrate your microgreens. And then you can put them into like a finishing salt or a powder for like your shake mix, stuff like that. And that's really great if you have picky eaters, because then they won't even notice that they're eating microgreens. That's a little secret. Yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable, like a lot more confident with growing your microgreens now?
Absolutely. I was completely resistant and intimidated, but that was easy.
Yeah, it is so simple.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who wants to start growing their microgreens, but just has that resistance?
You can do it. It's easier than you think. You'll have yummy microgreens, so good for you later.
And it's definitely worth it to just get over that hump. That you won't have that failure. Like, people get afraid that they're gonna fail or that everything's gonna go wrong. And the worst that can happen is your seeds don't germinate or you get mold, and then you try again. And it's very quick. Like, this took us probably like 15-30 minutes, and this is the first time growing. After that, it gets a lot quicker. And if you find that your seeds aren't germinating or they get mold, reach out to us and we will supply you with a new set of seeds completely, because we believe in your success and we know that you'll grow and you got this.
And I love that we have multiple ones too.
Definitely.
Yay.
And so what microgreens are you most excited to grow next?
Mustard sounds good.
Ooh, yeah, it's really good. It's more mellow.
Gentle mustard.
Oh, that's the best.
That's the best.
Like wasabi?
Yeah, I do.
Nice. This is the cousin to
Oh,
wasabi.
it's spicy.
It is, yes. So most people in America have not had real wasabi. It's usually horseradish that's been dyed green and flavored with stuff.
Lame.
Right? I know. So this is the cousin to the wasabi plant.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's so good. In
Oh.
fact, we have people ask us, how do we flavor our microgreens?
Wow.
We're so disconnected from how food tastes that we forget it doesn't need to be flavored with all these chemicals, all these dyes, that it can taste good by itself.
That's great.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really excited to see how it goes, and I look forward to hearing about your progress.
Me too. Thank you, Connor. This has been fantastic. Yay.
Thank you so much. And if all of you enjoy this, be sure to like and subscribe and turn on those notifications so you see our next videos. As always, stay awesome.
Drum roll, please. And there's still too much tape.
Mhm.
Younger eyes than I do. Okay.